G'day, my name's Liv and we're here to talk all things Sanremo Music Festival. As many of you know, I'm an Aussie of Italian descent and I absolutely love the festival. I take time off work every year to watch it. So we are here to talk about which song's going to do well, who might win, some special shout outs to ones that probably aren't going to place that great but definitely deserve a mention, and just generally talk about the contest this year. For the uninitiated, Sanremo is a massive Italian event locally. Everyone gets together and celebrates. It really does take over the whole nation for 5 days of the year. Each program goes for about 5 to 6 hours each night, so it's not for the time poor, but it is definitely very special to watch. And once you kind of get into it and you go through the Stockholm syndrome of it, it really does come out the other end and you feel like you've really experienced something interesting, whether that's a good or a bad thing. It's performed with a live orchestra. There are lots of local and international guests like Dua Lipa and the Black Eyed Peas. It really is very special. There's usually some kind of drama that will kick off every year just to keep things interesting. Blanco has already sort of fit the quota for 2023 by like kicking the snot out of some roses on the first night. It really was something to behold. And Eurovision is sort of like an added byproduct of Sanremo. The winner gets invited to compete for Italy at Eurovision, but they don't necessarily have to accept the invitation. As in 2016, Francesca Michelin actually finished second at Sanremo, but the actual winner, Stadio, didn't want to compete at Eurovision, so she got the call and eventually went to Eurovision for Italy. So it's not always bad news when an artist says no, but it's a good thing to keep in mind that just because an artist won Sanremo doesn't automatically mean they will compete at Eurovision. There has been a small rule change at Sanremo this year. Usually there are 3 entries that go into the equivalent of a national final, super final type thing that we normally see at other countries. This year there will be 5 songs instead of 3, so a little bit more opportunity for the artists to get their name up there on the leaderboard. Usually I do quite well with these predictions and I really don't want to jinx it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I did call the whole top 7 right last year for Sanremo, so I'm most definitely not going to get it right this year. I do think it's certainly a very open field. Who will place from 2nd to about 8th feels like it really could be anyone's position. So let's have a little look at those artists. I've got 3 categories today. I've split it into special mentions, so songs that won't necessarily be in the top 5 but deserve a little bit of recognition. I've then got the top 5 potential songs, the ones that have a good chance, and then the winner zone, the creme de la creme. So let's get started. First up for the special mentions, I've got to put them in here. Paola e Chiara with Fiore. Like, what? It was so crazy when we read the announcement and found out that they were literally getting back together just for Sanremo. Like, for you non-Italians, you don't understand how crazy amazing that is. And we kind of knew that they were going to bring something interesting to the stage. I never quite thought that they would give us like this sort of Schlager-esque entry complete with a whole set of backing dancers, not just 1 or 2, like a whole bunch of them. Like, it's so uncommon to have a lot of backing dancers at Sanremo, so it really was something different. They brought out these amazing glitzy outfits and they looked like they were having a ball. I really, really enjoyed it. This has 0 chance of finishing in the top 5. But bravo, ladies. Like, I'm gonna love it anyway. They had fun. We all had fun. Great. Speaking of absolute divas at Sanremo that give me life, Anna Oxa and Sali, oh my gosh. She is a Sanremo icon. She's competed at this contest over 6 decades. Like, how many people do you know that have gone to these festivals and competed again and again and again? And the crowd absolutely adored her performance. The juries are doing everything in their power to absolutely bury this song alive. Like, let's be real here. Look, her vocals have seen better days, but I don't care. Like, she just gives me like some kind of essence. Like, I just really enjoy it, and every time the crowd boos the jury's results, it's great. I love it. Trot on. Next up in the special mentions, Come Cose and Ladio. they are already going to go home with a prize. They've won the Best Lyrics of Sanremo 2023, so that's really lovely for them. This was a great entry for them to come back with. It's very beautiful, delicate, and intimate the way they present it on stage. It almost goes into the overly saccharine kind of like no thanks territory, but overall it is a really lovely performance from these two. Next up in the special mentions category, Rosa Chemical, made in Italy. It needs no introduction or translation. Where do we start with this one? Honestly, every year I need someone who pushes the envelope. They really push the boundaries of Sanremo. They put something out there that's a little bit provocative. It's sort of got that cool kind of Italian F-off kind of energy. That is what I want. I love their look. I'm obsessed, like genuinely. The moment this song started and the performance got going, I was already like, put it on YouTube now. I need to go watch it again and again and again. And it probably is, even though it's not my favorite this year, it's probably the one I've listened to the most because it does have great hook, catchy chorus, and honestly, any song that can make me dance totally sober in my bedroom like I'm in a club at 2 p.m. in the afternoon has a big tick of approval from me. This is absolutely amazing. I think it would be an absolute push for this to make the top 5. I'd love to see it, but I think probably a top 10 result is more reasonable. My final special mention is Laza and Cenere. Probably a little bit controversial. Some people might think he'll make the top 5. I just think it's a little bit of a push with perhaps some bigger hitters who are more consolidated artists that are probably going to just push ahead of him a little bit more in the results. And I'm not quite convinced with the provisional things that we've seen so far that he would necessarily finish in that top 5 come final night. Looking at the positives, it's a really interesting singing style that he uses. It's something called Bio Contra voice, which is where you basically kind of like loop syllables and kind of break them up to make like those funny little sounds that he uses in his performance. It's quite special. It's kind of cool. This is co-written by Dardust, who also co-wrote songs like Soldi. So he's got that little magic sprinkle in the production that just really lifts the whole thing. Laza himself has great presence and is very much an up-and-coming artist. So his performances are just getting better and better. Come back another year, mate. You and your veneers are always welcome back at Sanremo, in my opinion. Moving on to the next category, these are the songs that I think have a pretty good chance at making the top 5. First up, Tananai and Tango. And I'm smiling because after last year's dumpster fire of an entry and finishing last place, I really don't think any of us anticipated he would come out with this really strong male ballad that was just a complete 180 from what he did last year. I mean, who knows? Perhaps it will be Ci vediamo al Eurovision this year. Only joking. There are a lot of really strong male ballads this year. He's got one of them, but it's probably not the best. So I think he does have a lot of competition, let's put it that way. But regardless, the jurors seem to be eating this up. So I can't ignore it, even though I think it does have a lot of really strong competition. I think the biggest win here is that he has proven to the Italian public that he's not just a meme. He can come here with strong songs that are more Sanremo-esque and also earn his stripes in the competition that, you know, from a professional perspective, he has a lot of depth to his performances. Next, top 5 potential song, Mr. Rain and Supereroi, which translates to superheroes. This is a prime example of a song completely being ignored, missed, over the heads of Eurovision fans, but the Italian public absolutely devouring it, thinking it's like the most amazing thing ever. This song is second on the Spotify charts. It's got the second most views of all of the YouTube performances and is by quite a margin too. So this has definitely captured the attention of the Italian public, and it really does have a lot of love online. So we can't ignore this one. It is, once you know the lyrics, it really does hit the emotions. It's very sweet and emotional. So I can totally understand why it's resonated with the people, especially when you pair it with the visuals of all the little children on stage, much to Dale's disdain, who is kindly editing this video right now. It's a type of song that I think if it did win Sanremo and went to Eurovision, everyone would be extremely disappointed as Eurovision fans, but the Italian public would be very happy. I don't think we're going to have to worry about that, but it is a song that could definitely make the top 5. Next song with top 5 potential, Elodie and Due. She is back, baby. This is someone that the Eurovision fans have definitely latched onto the last couple of years. She is iconic in her fashion and her classiness on stage. She really is an icon of Sanremo. She has more Armani dresses than I could dream of, and she's just absolutely stunning. The song itself is sort of mysterious and alluring and kind of allows her to do that whole shtick on stage where she's kind of like dancing with the microphone and just kind of like caressing us with her vocals, like very much a cool kind of pop song. A very lame way of describing it. Go watch it. She actually is amazing, and I'm not doing it any justice. A lot of these pop numbers can sometimes struggle with an orchestra, like they can't really get that punch that they get normally through, all the electronic production. But duet actually works very well, and I think it sounds great with the orchestra. So I'm a little bit surprised to see it's a bit lower in the provisional results than anticipated, but I still think she has a very good chance of making the top 5, and I would love that. Next entry with top 5 potential, Colapesce Dimartino with Splash. The lads from Sicily are back. My family's from Sicily, so I always have a little bit of a soft spot for the Sicilian entrants. Many of them will remember them from their 4th place at Sanremo 2021 with Musica Leggerissima. This entry has all the hallmarks of being another grower at the contest with all that Italian retro charm. They really do look like they've stepped straight off the set from a 70s Italian cop show and then straight onto the stage of Sanremo. And honestly, I love them for that. It's amazing. I think all these entries, though, that are quite throwback-esque do fall a little bit into the category of an acquired taste that perhaps an international audience won't always get, because I haven't seen oodles of support for it in the Eurovision community. But certainly locally, they've been getting a lot of attention and very solid provisional results. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them in a similar position, perhaps, maybe around that 4th place spot again. Next song with top 5 potential, Ultimo with Alba. Another very classic, quintessential entry from him. I want to say he is almost the most stereotypical Italian Sanremo man ballad of the year. And honestly, I love it. I just absolutely love it. I don't think it's for everyone, but if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, I can't help you. After his dramatic 2nd place back in 2019, go Google that if you want a little giggle. He's definitely come back with something a little bit more contemporary, something that is slightly pared back that probably will work a little bit better on radio. It does have the Ultimo trademark all over it. It's one of his big vocal moment type songs and really is just completely written and suited to a Sanremo stage. I wouldn't be surprised to see him right at the pointy end of the results come final night. The final contestant, and the one I think is probably most likely to be in the top 5, is Madame and Il Bene nel Mare, which means the good in the bad. Lyrically, this is absolutely superb. There is something in the way that she delivers lyrics. It's very raw, gritty, passionate. It really just gets to the crux of what message she's trying to push across. Even if you don't know Italian fluently, you're still going to get what she's going for, right? She has this amazing range with her vocals where she can do these really straight tones, and then she can also do these really amazing raspy sort of tones that really kind of dig the knife into your emotional heart and really get to the soul of the song. She has such amazing expression on stage, and it really stands out. This morning, for Australians, or last night in Italy, she had to perform straight after Måneskin. And, for a lot of artists, they really could flop after that. But honestly, she could hold her own. She was right up there and didn't look out of place straight after them at all. I think there is a really good chance that she could definitely be in the top 3 at come final night. And if there was a dark horse to take out the competition, I would love it to be her, although I think it's highly unlikely. And our final song, which I like to call In the Winner Zone. It's not often that I do this, but I'm just going to say one song, and it is Marco Mengoni with Due Vite. I think it's pretty much all but a rusted-on victory for Marco this year. Most Eurovision fans will recognise him from representing Italy in 2013, placing 7th. For Sanremo this year, he came out with a bang. He was like very early on in the festival on the first night. I think it was 4th. And it didn't really feel like the competition had started until he sung. And then once he sung, it felt like every song after that was just chasing him. It really did have that all-encompassing sort of winner potential and just made everyone sort of sit up and take notice. And it has been number 1 in the Italian Spotify charts. It is the most viewed on YouTube as well as far as the performances go. And he has been leading the provisional results every night thus far. So it really does feel like there's not a whole lot stopping him from taking the Golden Lion this year. Go watch his performance from the 3rd evening, because I think it is better than the one on YouTube. He sort of found another gear, and it really did have the Sanremo. That's me. I'm a stan of Sanremo. It had the Sanremo stamp marked all over it. It really did feel like a winner's performance, and that we're all kind of just watching him do a victory lap at this point. I'll admit I don't always love these mega Italian ballads, and it did take a second for him to sort of win me over, because sometimes they are almost too Italian to be palatable. But on this occasion, I think he does have the presence to burn, the looks to burn, the song to burn, just so much in this package. It's just absolutely captivating, and I wish him the best of luck at the festival. Well, that ends our Sanremo video for this year. In conclusion, we do think that Marco's probably got this one in the bag. And in order, likely to make the top 5 is Madame, Ultimo, Colapesce Dimartino, Elodie, Mr. Rain, and Tananai. Do you agree with me, or do you have some other ideas about who you think might be making the top 5 this year and who might be winning? If you're interested in more Sanremo, follow Aussie Vision on Twitter. We are all over the contest there as well. Have a good evening and enjoy the festival. Bye.